we're recording, so whenever you're ready.
Okay. Me doing moving my button here. All right, so now this is my first time I'm presenting using Canva, believe it or not. So I think you should be able to see my screen.
Okay.
All right, so just want to make sure I stay on time. So my name is Karen Archibee. I am out of extended learning, and I am an academic planning coordinator, but also a program manager for Microcredentials, which is what we're talking about today. But I also help advise and develop the integrated professional studies program, which is been developed to help adult learners. So I'm busy with Jill Pippin working on developing microcredentials, which conversations have been happening for quite a long time. I presented on microcredentials for, oh gosh, a couple different cycles now, but I've usually focused more on like what they are, how to kind of make it happen. And this is sort of a little bit of different because we've been evolving as we've been working on these. We've been finding the pain points for folks. And I also wanted to help start some conversations with people that may be considering doing a microcredential, but aren't really sure which way to go, which is what I do quite a bit when it comes to like the consultant work on the side of the program management. So I'm going to do a slight review on microcredentials, just give some definitions. But I really want to talk about getting started, how that's changed, what it might look like, also share out some examples and maybe help provide ideas for folks of like where they could go with microcredentials. And then the next steps, because that's a big part of the process is the governance, the getting it passed, getting it up on the books, getting the website updated, getting your badge made. There's a lot at the tail end that I work with people on. And so I want to make sure you're aware of kind of what will happen with that. So we sort of work backwards in a way to make sure we can make this happen. So just to give a little bit of some context to microcredentials is it's, certificates have been around for a long time. There's different things like that that have been happening in higher education, but this is really focused on being smaller than a minor, bite-sized curriculum that folks can work on and complete more quickly than a typical semester or calendar year in academia. And so the focus is that they can do a subset of courses and then leave here with a badge, a digital badge, which is essentially is an online portfolio that we build through Credly. And they can have that on their LinkedIn or whatever digital platforms they use in order to help them market themselves to employers or even grad school. But these are really focused on helping people get jobs, not necessarily go to grad school or further their education, but get employed. So they need to be smaller than a minor. They have to be interdisciplinary, or at least we want it to be broader scope than just one course, let's say, or one specific thing. So we are going to ask that maybe we can figure out a way that if you're coming to us with an idea, maybe we can work with other parties on campus, because this is really faculty informed, faculty driven. And I work closely with the faculty that create these. So there's three kinds essentially. There's academic, which is credit bearing. So that's a little bit different than competency or skill or non-credit. So it's important to think about your audience when you are considering starting a microcredential and who you want to serve. And we kind of have focused this in two prongs. Do you want it to serve current students, which we would love that. We have ones that are running that I'll tell you about. But they are already here, they're matriculating, they're in courses, they can now add this to their repertoire. But then there's also the other prong, which is non-credit. And so that would be a little bit faster. This allows our faculty to show off their passion projects, maybe show off some skill sets that they may not be focused on in the classroom with their current students. But maybe this would involve a couple of weekends at the Syracuse campus or an asynchronous program in Brightspace that professionals that are working in the field can log in and do their work. Maybe some different seminars. So we can build out kind of what works for the faculty that want to create this. So the biggest thing is that I may come to folks with ideas of different things they could do, but most of the time faculty will be the ones in the driver's seat. And I'm kind of the co-pilot along with Jill and Amy Dumas, who's also in extended learning with me. We're going to be working with you along those things, but the faculty really determine what they want the program to look like. And I can't really see if anyone has any questions or anything, so feel free to put in the chat or unmute and interrupt me, no big deal. So we've decided as we've been moving through this process and we've been evolving we really wanted to have two different phases. The first phase is really important to discuss, brainstorm, and verify. So this is where we get together. I'm happy to meet in person, phone, Zoom, whatever works for you. And we kind of run through what you're thinking, because we really want to make sure that it's going to be verified by the industry as needed now or very soon in the future with forecasting. There's different websites like Lightcast, different websites that show us what industries are saying they're going to need in the coming months and years. And so that's where we're really focusing in this area. So we want to make sure we can tie that back to your learning outcomes in whatever microcredential you choose to do, whether it is credit-based or non-credit. So we'll do a lot of brainstorming, kind of flush out those ideas. And then phase two is really where we make it happen. So that's where I send you a draft of a packet that we've used in previous years, but we're actually moving into Curriculog, which is really exciting. So I'm working with Ramin and Tracy to develop a Curriculog selection or a microcredential selection in Curriculog so that we can hit all those points that we need covered during your approval process. So we, do the paperwork, get your rough draft going. We want to make sure your department is on board, your chair, deans, anyone involved. And so if you're going to be doing something at the graduate level, we need to make sure that grad studies is involved. If you're doing something with other departments on campus and there's two areas where the courses are going to be held, we want to make sure everybody is included and aware, because that will be part of the approval process. If it's a non-credit microcredential, which is really focused on, again, those currently not enrolled students, those people out in the public working in Oswego, it could be Syracuse, that are looking to upskill or reskill in their work, that would be a different governance process than going through something that we're going to make a credit-bearing microcredential. So that would go through FA, APC, it's a whole process. So we do kind of work backward on that timeline because of the FA schedule. So I'll keep track of that with you and make sure we're tidying things up in a timely manner. And then we launch. So after everything is approved, the president signs off and we know we're in the clear, we'll then work with Marcom to get a badge made. We'll work with Zach DeMarsh with Slate to make sure we can get an application process going. Usually it's just a quick form, and that's so that we can make sure registrars is aware that students are wanting to sign up for this, so DegreeWorks can be updated. If it's non-credit, then I still work with different folks on campus, but we're actually working with a new company called Campus CE. And so they are assisting us with the non-credit piece, since it doesn't have to necessarily live in Banner, because they're not going to be earning a degree necessarily. So there's some different nuances there, but I assist with that. So again, phase one, we're brainstorming. So we want to know who this microcredential will serve. Are you wanting to focus on current students, or do you want to work out or branch out into an industry partner and assist a company? We've talked with JMA about some different ideas. There's different companies in Syracuse that we're chatting with about what they need and how we can serve them. So what is the intent of the microcredential? What are you wanting to help solve of the problem out there? What is your goals? So the learning outcomes is another big piece. What do we want to make sure our students are learning through the completion of a microcredential, and how will they prove that? So part of the application process is listing out what they'll need to do in order to showcase that they have reached these goals. Will they do projects? Will they do presentations? Will they do papers? And so that also will dictate kind of the length of the microcredential and the depth with what it'll do. What do they need to complete the microcredential? I'll explain some of our examples, but brain analysis has an internship at the port that needs to be part of the process. If they don't complete the internship, they cannot earn the microcredential. Another big question we have to always ask ourselves when creating these is, are they going to be employable? Could they be employable directly after completing? Again, we really want to make sure that this is something that will help land someone a job, or they will be able to maybe get a bump in pay after completing these skills. So that's a big goal for us, is that it needs to directly relate to employability. And then, do you have industry partners that can verify for you? So where microcredentials are a little bit different than a four-year program here or a minor or things like that, is that we do have to have 3 testimonials by an industry partner. So they can't be anyone related to Oswego. But if you are wanting to develop a microcredential, you have to have folks that are willing to say, yes, this is important. Yes, we would hire people with this microcredential. And then this is why we think you should create this micro-credential. So I have a template that I've created. I send that off with the packet after we've kind of gone through all the phase one piece here. And then that way you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just send the template to your folks, and then they write their letter on the letterhead, hitting the points that I asked, and then they send it over to you to then attach into the packet or attach into Curriculog when the time comes for credit union micro-credentials. So there is a template there, and then there's the testimonials that are needed in order to get through the process. So the phase two piece, the making it happen, is we want to kind of get everybody corralled, make sure that everyone's on the same page that this is going to be taking place, and it's going to be part of a rotation possibly, or you're going to be, you know, managing it in your load, or maybe it's something that you do separately, which I'll talk about that. So we want to make sure everyone is involved, and we've thought clearly about that. If it is between different departments, like I said before, you might want to make sure we have everyone included. And there are signature pieces, so you know who to make sure you connect with. Chair and dean support is a big piece, so we need to make sure that everyone is aware and on the same page and agrees that it should definitely be a micro-credential and not something else. You know, maybe it should be a minor, or maybe it should be something else. We want to make sure that this is the right fit. Interdisciplinary is a big piece for micro-credentials, like I mentioned. So we want to, of course, make sure that we're thinking outside of the box a little bit and making sure that we can tap into some different areas that will help these people that attend in these micro-credentials employable. So we want to make sure that they're real-time skills and that we can focus in different areas. And then the big question, did you get the packet from me? Have we met? Have we done all that brainstorming? We should be working closely together about this and staying in touch. So really the big piece is that I kind of need to be in the know when it comes to the development of this. So you need the 3 testimonials from your industry partner. And then if you are wanting to make it an academic micro-credential, which would really focus on our current students, you want to enter that information into Curriculog. If it's a non-credit, it would be a little bit of a different governance, like I mentioned, but we would help you through that. So ideas. So this is a nice place because I've had faculty contact me and say these very things, you know, that they're noticing some things. So this is a great way for you to know if a micro-credential could be a good fit for what you may be hearing and how we can help those folks that are letting you know. The big thing is people are hearing from our alumni that they've built these wonderful relationships with. And so the alumni are coming back and saying, man, I wish you had offered X, Y, and Z classes or the specific area that I could have been more in depth with, and then I could have been more employable, or, you know, I have to go somewhere else to take these things where maybe if you offered it, I'd rather come back to school and, you know, take your micro-credential. So we are finding it's a great way to tie alumni back in, to commit to Oswego, to come back. They don't have to matriculate. They can just come and take the micro-credentials and then, you know, complete that. So you might be hearing from industry partners. Perhaps you are involved in some associations, or you're on a board of something, and you're hearing some rumbling out there that there's these skills that are needed. Perhaps we can help those folks hit those goals. Instead of having them go to LinkedIn or somewhere else, they can actually work with us and our reputation that we have here. So maybe you are seeing a gap or a void in skill sets that you think you could help with, whether it's in our current student body, or again, in an area that you may be working in outside of the curriculum. So this is a great space to fill that, because these are smaller, they're more manageable, they're bite-sized, and then they're very doable in terms of having people come in and enroll with the school but not matriculate. So they don't have to apply, they don't have to go through admissions. It's a little bit of a different process. So it's less barrier to entry. So some examples, I provided the QR link or QR code to our micro-credential website, because I've been asked about, like, what's your portfolio looking like? Like, what do you have built already? So I wanted to share a few of these really quickly. And so these are ones that are currently standing. They've been standing for quite a long time, and they all do different things. So grain analysis is through chemistry, and we basically work with the Port of Oswego here, and there's a certain amount of classes. There's a sequence of courses students have to take. They have to be certain majors to take those, and then they have to do the internship at the Port. So I work closely with Christine Gublo and Cleone Medeiros to make sure that we're on track of who's going to be doing that internship, who I should be aware of, who I should be helping. And then once they've completed, registrars lets me know, I send the badges to the students to upload into their online profiles. Digital media and communication design is academic as well. So brain analysis, digital media are both academic. They're both credit bearing. They do, our full semester curriculum essentially. Brain analysis, only current students can be enrolled in. Digital media, we can have community members join. So they don't have to enroll into the major. They would just sign up and do the digital media communication design, non-matriculated. So we're, right now it is credit bearing. We are working on creating a non-credit piece so that people could complete it faster and they would have different requirements than the academic students that are taking it for credit. So that one has been in existence for quite a long time, actually before I came on board. So that one's been running through the School of Communication, Media, and the Arts. Leadership Oswego County is through our, it was OBCR. And so that is actually focused on, it's non-credit, it's focused on the community members. So people can enroll through their business, they can be recommended, and they learn leadership qualities throughout about a 10-month span. And so they do have some access to Brightspace, but really they are not our students, they are community members. They go out and do different things. So that is a longer span microcredential, but it is still a microcredential. And so anything that is run through OBCR or OER, they still tie into our academic program. So superintendent development program has been in existence for a long time too. We have people that come from all over the state. They're recommended by their school districts. They typically do not need credits. But technically it can be both. So the SDP can either be credit if someone wanted it, but many of our students that enroll into this do not. So they come in, they're training to be superintendents of their areas at their schools, and they do the program non-credit, but it is a year-long program. So again, it's a micro-credential, but it is a larger one where they are spending more time earning that micro-credential. And so, these will look different. There's really no one size fits all to these, which can be really tricky when it comes to building them out in our systems. So it's been a labor of love to figure out how to make a system that's been pretty traditional, work to fit these different areas, which are shorter, smaller, faster. And so these are kind of where we are. And there's more on the website, but these are the ones I've been working the most closely with. So again, you may be thinking, I'm interested in creating something. Just think about these things. If it's academic, it will be for our current students. Most people that are out working that want to upskill or reskill do not want to pay for college credit anymore. So we do want to make sure that we're doing something for them that is non-credit. But if you want to impact our current students or you have courses already standing that you think would be great to put together into a micro-credential, we can talk about that. I've had conversations with different folks across campus where they're seeing a gap. And if we can create a micro-credential, this will help our students without having to go through state governance, changing majors, any of that. This is a great way to help our students excel right in-house. So non-credit, again, they're going to want something fast. Those people are going to be focused on doing something a little more quickly and nimble. And so if you are interested in creating a non-credit micro-credential, we can work with you on that and we can build it how you see fit. And also if we have industry partners that are requesting things, we can work together to match their needs. Again, they can be both. So maybe you start with something that you want to have credit and it's easier for you to kind of go with what we already have. We'll get that passed, get that going and up, and then you can create a non-credit version where maybe people would come to certain things along with your academic students, but maybe they don't want credit, so they don't participate in certain things. So there's a lot of nuances to micro-credentials, as you can see, but we can help you navigate that for sure and figure out what will work best. So some resources, we've had lots of questions from folks about, how will it work? Will I be compensated? And of course, the answer is yes. The biggest thing right now is because we are building this as we're going, many colleges are in the same boat we are, where they're still trying to figure out how to make these things all work and how to piece it all together, how to be equitable, and build these structures. So please reach out if you're interested in any of the things I've talked about, because if we are going to build something from scratch, we want to compensate you for that. So Jill will be part of that conversation of what that would look like, because there are models we've been looking at and formulas and lots of things. So there is compensation available. So in conclusion, email me, we can talk more. I can help you keep on track. I can follow up with people for you. I am here to support and help these microcredentials build and develop. So I'm really excited to be a part of the process with you. And so we can just stay in touch and I can walk you through all the steps more, tied to what you are looking to do, so we can customize. So I know I'm at time, like 20 minutes always goes so fast. Anyone with any questions, or you can email me, but anything anyone wants to ask about? Yeah.
A quick question, Karen, about the testimonials from industry partners. Would those need to come from someone's HR department, or you're just saying somebody currently employed in the field could write that?
Yeah, it's really, it's kind of both. I mean, it's really about who would be a good fit. So we've had CEOs of companies write the testimonial. We've had HR managers, do the testimonial. We've had managers of people that want to do a microcredential, those kinds of things. So it's really just about people that can testify that this would benefit their company if people were to take this microcredential. We have a cannabis microcredential in the works right now between criminal justice and chemistry, and their testimonials, one came from C's farm market, another one came from the state, that's part of the verification process. And so, there's lots of different ways you can go with that, and they don't have to be all local, so there's lots of ways we can talk about that. And if you're nervous about who would work for that, we can talk to and make sure we're hitting all those right pieces.
Thank you.
Michelle?
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Great presentation, tons of helpful information. We're definitely thinking about this in the School of Business in a lot of different spaces. But besides that, there was a group of faculty last summer that got a grant to develop essentially a micro-credential, but we haven't been thinking about it in that way around digital accessibility.
Yeah.
And so the content is all created, but we've been kind of thinking about what's that completion thing that folks get. And so I'm wondering if this warrants a conversation, since it's something that's already ready to go, it's in Brightspace. Because we are sort of deploying it, we're not really calling it a micro-credential, but it really essentially could be.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if we could kind of, that seems to me like a logical kind of next step in terms of talking about it, but it's something, for me, it'd be a little weird, right, to go backwards and get industry letters of support because we received grant funding to create,
Right.
we have sort of a lot of already clear support that
Yes.
in the development phase of this.
Yeah.
So I'm just not sure kind of if the next step is let's take that as just a deeper conversation into that one.
Yeah, I would love to. And I'm guessing because Jill popped on, that means she thought of something.
Hi, Jill.
Did you want to add anything, Jill, about?
Sorry, I normally don't use my iPad for Zoom, but so I'm all kind of off. So no, I've been on for a while actually, but I think it's been incognito because my sign-on says Jill's iPad. So I think, and I didn't have my my stuff on, so sorry. So what I would say about the testimonials, there's a couple of reasons why we do the testimonials. First of all is to ensure the connection to the work world, right? And the application and the valuation, but also because we want to use those in testimonials so that students and participants will understand or will understand that there is value in it, not just because we said so, but because someone out there values it. So what I would probably suggest is do we have that? I mean, we can certainly use the grant and the process and the data and the things that are said there, but I wonder if we could get that. So, just to have that validation to be able to use in promoting that. But it might not be necessary depending upon what the grant required and what it was based in, right? So if there's all this data out there and so on, again, the reason why is we can be more, what do I want to say? Reactive is the wrong word, but you know what I mean? We can be flexible and all that. But the thing is that we're hoping for a specific formula of how we're going to be able to market it and also put it on when we create the badges in Credly. the information in there stays with the student, and any potential employer that they share it with can click on it and see who's validated it. Right? So there's a lot of reasons behind it, and I would encourage us to think about trying to find a way to do that. But it's not necessary in that case. Sorry, I don't know if that helped at all.
No, that's helpful. And I mean, I think we have 8 million testimonials. Like we did a bunch of
Yeah,
testimonials.
there we
Like
go.
I
We'll just
think
use
that's
those.
not like a concern. I think it's one of these things, right? Like SUNY's system gave us the grant so that we would roll it out to other SUNYs as well.
Yes.
So for other, so we've kind of already been working in that space. We're just kind of at the last piece of like, do we give a certificate or a badge of some sort? And so to me, it's kind of a natural fit here because it was kind of already developed with this process just outside of your process on it.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll follow up then with Karen for sure. But Jill, if you want me to loop
Definitely.
in, I can definitely do that. But this is
If you
exciting.
talk to Karen, I'm already looped in. So thanks.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So much. Have a
Thanks,
good
guys.
one. Bye.
Bye. Great job, Karen.
Thank you.